Good morning, students. You're able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. You're able to see my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So to just give you a quick recap on what we did in the last class, we started with the third module on SQL. So we had some introductory discussion on what exactly is SQL, and then we moved on to how you try to create different objects using the SQL commands. I hope things are clear. Any doubts so far what we have covered in the last class? We saw creation of table. We took company database as our example, and we saw how we can create and use the create command, and that's where I think we stopped, and we have to now proceed towards how to give some basic constraints in SQL. Any questions so far? Any doubts, or shall we proceed? So let me begin with where we stopped in the last class. So today's class we'll be discussing about the basic constraints in SQL. So when we talk of the basic constraints, there are attribute constraints. Some attribute what is generally taken as some of the defaults, and then key constraints, wherein we talk of the primary key constraints and all that, and then referential key constraints where we discuss regarding the foreign key. Okay, so these are some of the constraints that we are going to see, and we'll also see a couple of them as to how we can implement when we are trying to create the table. When we create the table itself, you can specify a couple of constraints. Like in the last class, we saw how we can specify a no not null constraint, how we can specify not null and unique constraint we have seen in the last class. Let's see a couple of them with examples. While you create a table, how you can specify it. Just give me one moment. Yeah. So we can specify attribute constraints and attribute defaults. Now, in the last class itself, we have seen how we can specify a not null constraint. So a constraint not null can be specified to an attribute whenever you don't want a null value to be accepted. So if null cannot be permitted for that attribute, you can specify a not null constraint. For example, I said for employee name, let us say, or department name. Let us say I don't want to accept null values for the employee name or department name. Since employee name is not a primary key, it will not apply default. By default, it will not apply that. So null value is actually allowed. But I don't want null value for employee name or student's name, something like that. So then I can make it explicitly, so I can specify the not null constraint for the employee name. Okay, and then we have a default clause. Default clause you can use if you want to specify any particular default value. If you want to specify, then I can specify it. While I create that attribute, I can use this keyword default and specify some default values. Then I also have another important constraint called as the check constraint. So it is used to specify some particular value. I want to check whether the age is within 18 years or whether the age is more than 18 years. I want to check. Then I can use this check constraint in order to specify my values as well. Now for all these three, let us look into some examples. Okay. Now, this is the same create table employee. In the last class also we had taken this creation. We saw how this creation can be done. Now also we are again taking this particular example to show a couple of more, what to say, constraints. Okay, I'm sorry. E number. So first constraint is what we have to take E number. So E number, look here how we have given check E number like E percentage. What do you understand from this? Anyone can tell me?
It should start with character E, I think.
E number, yes. E number, varchar 2 of 6. Check E number like E percentage. That means I have defined this E number as a string, varchar 2 of 6, that it can take 6 characters max. But check E number like E percentage means all my E number should start with E only. Okay, E percentage. E percentage means what? The first character should be E. Percentage means after the first character being E, I can have any number of characters. It can be anything. So we have given that percentage. So this is how you try to represent the checked constraint. Yeah. Next, E name. What we have given, what are the constraints that we have given for E name? Varchar 2 of 10, check again. Check E name is equal to upper of E name. That means all my employee name should be in the uppercase. I don't want any employee name to be in the lower case. If I want to specify that particular constraint, then I can give it as E name equal to upper of E name. Okay. Next, address. Varchar 2 of 10, not null. So not null we have used here. That means I don't want my address column to accept any null value. It should not accept any null value. That's why I have given here as not null. Look at the next one. Very important. State. I have defined this state. Varchar 2 of 10. Check. Check of state in. State in Karnataka, Kerala. Means when I enter any value for state, it should be either Karnataka or it should be Kerala. Only that you have to, it will accept. It should not accept any other. I don't want to accept any other state. That is why I have specified. So for this also we can specify the check constraint. So there are 3 different check constraints that are used here if you observe. One is we have told the employee number should begin with E percentage. It should begin with E only. After the first character being E, I can have anything, any number of character is all okay for me. So there we have made use of this check constraint. The second check, what we have said, we have told employee name should be equal to upper of employee name. There also I have made use of this check constraint. See the usage of this check constraint. So E name, that means I want all the employee names to take upper value or uppercase only. Next check we have used is in case of state. I want to restrict the values that the state can take. When I say state, I can enter anything, is it not? So many states are there. We can enter any of them. No. But why? I want my state to take only these two values. So in that case also, I can give the check statement like this. Of course, we have used here not null, wherein address is not null. That means I don't want address to accept null value. Next, look at the last one. Employee type. I have taken the character as 1. So that means employee type is an attribute which is of one character type. But I have also set the default value as F, which means it will also it will not accept any. If you are not entering any value, by default it is going to accept it as F. What is the type of employee? Full-time, part-time, something like that maybe. So the default is F. F is by default they are full-time. If there are any part-time employees, then I should enter it as only one character I have given the size as, so it should be entered as P or whatever it is. So these are the different possible constraints that you can apply while you create a table. So we have applied here check constraint, 3 different types of usages of check we have shown. We have shown one not null constraint, and we have also shown one default value. That means I can specify a default value by using this keyword called default. Any questions, any doubts at this point of time?
Ma'am, last line.
Last, sorry.
Yes, EMP type char.
Yeah, see here EMP type, EMP underscore type is one of the attribute. What is the type of what type of employee he is, whether he is a full-time or a part-time employee. So EMP underscore type is one another attribute, like address, state and all, you have another attribute. What is the data type of this EMP type? It is character. It is not string, it is not var2, it is a character. How many characters you have given the size as? We have given the size as 1. So EMP underscore type is an attribute of the type character of size just 1 character. That's all. Either you enter it as P or you have to enter it as F. Let us say, for example, full-time, part-time, something like that. If you don't enter, then I can set the default value as F. So that's why I have given here default F. Are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. If you don't enter anything, it will take it as F only. If you are entering, then fine. Any questions? Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Next, specifying some of the key constraints. So when I say key constraint, it can be foreign key, it can be primary key, unique key. So these are all some kind of constraints that you can specify. If you observe the last slide, these are all constraints on the attributes only. For every attribute, we have given one different types of constraint. Now we are going to specify some key constraints. Key constraints can be specified on a table. That is why I said this last slide, we have not specified any constraint on the table. It is only all these are constraints on the attributes. Individual attributes, we have specified constraint. Like for example, E number should start with E only. That is only for this particular attribute called as E number. State should be only Karnataka and Kerala. It is only for this attribute called as state. Like that. Now, next thing is we are going to see how you can specify constraints on a table itself. So it could be a primary key constraint. When I say primary key constraint, it's a key constraint that applies on the whole table, not for just an attribute. Correct? So that's why we say it can be applied on a table. Now, the primary key specifies a single, or it can also specify a composite key. We have already seen. If you have combination of keys, then it can be a composite primary key or it can be a single primary key. How do you specify that? See here, denum int primary key. Or you can specify if it is a composite key, then you say primary key of ESSN comma pnum. You can also use a unique clause to specify alternate keys. See this dname character of 9. I have given not null unique. This is nothing but your primary key constraint. This is an alternate key. Dname, let us say it is an alternate key. I cannot give it as primary key here, but I can still impose the properties of the primary key by specifying it as not null and unique. Because once you say anything is if I say D number is a primary key, automatically it will not accept null value and it will not accept duplicate value. So not null and unique are automatically applied when I say primary key. If I have alternate key and I want to give the properties of the primary key to that, I cannot say dname also primary key. That is wrong. But still I want dname to behave like a primary key. So in that case, I will say not null and unique. I will explicitly give it. Okay. Whereas D number, I have simply said primary key. Once I say primary key, not null and unique will apply automatically. But only for one attribute, I can say primary key. I cannot say for dname also, I cannot say primary key. But I want dname to behave like the primary key, let us say alternate key. So in that case, I can explicitly specify the properties of primary key, which is nothing but not null and unique. Right? See here. So now let us take one more example. Create table employee. Okay, so SSN, I have created SSN as a character of 9 characters. I have taken first name. See here, first name I have given it as not null. That means I don't want name to be null. So I am applying a not null constraint. This is for the attribute again. Again, here last name I am making it not null. It is also for the attribute last name. Last name will not be null. First name also will not be null. Then I have taken birth date as date. Address varchar of 30, no constraints on that. Then I have given primary key of SSN. So as I told you, you can specify it here itself as we did in our lab. SSN character of 9 primary key. You can do that also. Another syntax for representing primary key is you can put it at the end. Primary key of SSN. Okay. So this is when I say primary key of SSN, this is a constraint on the table itself. Okay, though your primary key is a constraint on a table. For one table, you are making this SSN as a primary key. It's not just for one attribute. Yes. So that is about specifying primary key constraint, not null constraint, check constraint, default constraint. Any doubts on this till here? Any doubts, any questions? Shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, next we are going to discuss specifying referential integrity constraints. Referential integrity constraints means it is nothing but the foreign key constraint. So for a clause, foreign key can be specified to implement the relationship that is nothing but your referential integrity. In yesterday's class, we saw how we have again two different syntax for specifying the foreign key. Either you use the keyword foreign key, or you can say directly write when you create that attribute, you can directly specify references like that. So there are two syntax, one that we use in lab, one which we saw here using the foreign key keyword. Right. There can be always some violations when you try to insert values, delete values whenever you have a foreign key. Now we are going to see what are some of the special keywords that we are going to use when we make use of foreign keys. For example, there are three important words here, if you observe. Cascade, set null, set default. Now these three things, words you will be using along with the foreign, whenever foreign key is used, and whenever you want to insert or delete using this foreign key, that time these options are used. We will be discussing what they are. Now, when I say cascade, set null, set default, you can't use it. You cannot use them individually. You should always use them along with on delete or on update. On delete cascade, on delete set null, on delete set default, or on update cascade, on update set null, on update set default, like that. You should use it along with delete or along with update. You cannot use cascade, set null or set default on its own. All right. Please mute. There is some noise. Please mute. So when I say cascade, set null or set default, these have to be used along with on delete or on update. You cannot use these words or these options cannot be used individually. And all these are used when you want to insert, when you want to delete, when you want to update using the foreign key. Okay, let us see. So what are the possible options? So we have seen, I told you, we have seen three important words: cascade, set null, set default. I repeat, we cannot use this individually. We should always qualify it. That means use it along with on delete or on update. Okay. So if I combine these two, you will have 6 different options. What are those possible options? On delete, set default, on delete, set null, on delete, cascade, or you have on update cascade, on update set default, on update set null. So these words can be used with either delete, on delete, or you can use it along with update. Whenever you are using the foreign key, that time we will use all these things. Now, why do we use all this? That means if there is a foreign key, suppose I'm using a foreign key, okay, and I want to delete. See, when you are using a foreign key, you have reference to the primary key in some other table, is it not? You cannot simply delete off that record. You try deleting, many of you would have observed that you get some errors, that the unique constraint is violated, or parent key is not found, something like that you will find. So that means on delete set default means if you are deleting a record where a foreign key is there, then you should also set some default for that. That is what it means. Either you set it null, you set it default, or cascade. Cascade means what? Stepwise, I will delete everything, trace back and delete everything. Wherever I have used that foreign key, all that will be deleted. Like that. Same thing holds for update also. See here, how do I specify that? See here, first name is not null. Okay, this is clear. Last name is also not null. Then what we are doing, SSN and E number we have defined. Birth date, address, super SSN is a foreign key. And then D number int not null. Okay, all that is fine. We have defined all these attributes. Next, what we are doing here, primary key of SSN. Okay, SSN we are making it as a primary key. Next, foreign key of super SSN. References employee of SSN. That means your SSN behaves as a primary key as well as a foreign key on the same table. That is where our recursive relationship comes into picture. Foreign key of super SSN references. That means here this super SSN is a foreign key. You can write it here references. We have done it like that. You can also use the foreign key keyword and then you can declare it. Both are same. Now, on delete, set default. On update, cascade. That means if you are going to delete this, anything which is related to this super SSL, which is a foreign key, you have to set some default value there. Set by default, you set that value, or on update, if you are deleting, you have to set default. If you are updating, you should cascade. If you are updating this value, you should update it everywhere wherever it is used. That is what we mean by on update cascade. Here what we are giving, see here, foreign key. Okay, D number is a foreign key. You are declaring it as a foreign key. References, department of D number. All this is fine. Here, on delete, cascade. On update also is cascade. Suppose you are deleting this D number in a table where it is a foreign key. Then you should delete everywhere else wherever it is used as a foreign key. That is why we say on delete, cascade. Cascade means what? Stepwise you have to delete it everywhere, wherever you have used it. If you are updating, you should update it everywhere. That is, otherwise it will lead you to some kind of inconsistency because it is a foreign key. All right. So that's the difference between whenever you are making use of foreign key when you want to delete or update. Any doubts in this? I will just give you a recap if it's not clear. So I said I'm just summarizing it once again for you all. So we know what is the concept of foreign key, correct? So foreign key can be specified if you want to bring in some relationship between two tables, then you have to use a foreign key. Now, if you have tried deleting a table which has a foreign key, you cannot delete it very easily because you have referenced it in many tables. You will not be able to delete it. A key or a record wherein you are using a foreign key, or wherever there is a column which is referred as a foreign key in some other table, you cannot delete it. So you have certain options that you can specify along with that because when you are trying to delete, there will be some violations. Okay, so you can use three options: the cascade, set null, or set default. Now these three options, you cannot use it individually. You should also always use it along with on delete or on update, because these two only will create problem for you when you are trying to work along with foreign keys. So how do we use this? These are the 6 different options that we have. Whenever I declare a foreign key, I also declare what has to be done if I have to delete it, what has to be done if I have to update it. What is up? Because simply I cannot delete as it is. I cannot simply update at one point and leave it off because it will affect every other table wherever it is used. I'll give you a simple example. Student borrows books. Okay, that's an example we saw. In borrow, what we did, in borrow we have seen, in borrow table we have student ID as a foreign key. Correct? Just try to recollect that. In borrow table, we have student ID as a foreign key. Now, you try deleting that record. Let us say delete from borrow where student ID is equal to S01. Okay, you cannot delete that because S01 is a foreign key which is existing. Or you go to the student table, try deleting S01 there. If you try deleting S01 in student table it's a primary key, fine, but it acts as a foreign key in the borrow table. Correct? So since it is acting as a foreign key in borrow table, you cannot simply delete it off in student table. So on delete, set default means I will have to set some default value for that. Or on delete null. Null means in the if I delete this S01 student in the student table, I have to set that value as null in the borrow table so that will not be anymore accessed. On delete cascade. Means in borrow table also I should delete S01. That is what we mean by cascade. You delete one place, you have to delete everywhere else. You update at one place, you should update it everywhere else. If I change my S01 as S011, then I have to update it everywhere. I cannot simply say one place I will update, another place I am not updating. That will lead you to a lot of inconsistencies in the table. Any doubts? So when you try to define the foreign key, I have told you that we have used a different syntax in the lab programs. We can also use the foreign key keyword in order to declare it. In this we saw in the last class. So when you define a foreign key, you should also define what you want to do if you want to delete it, what you want to do if you want to update it. For every foreign key, you have to specify this. Otherwise, it will lead you to inconsistency. Yeah. Then next thing that we are going to see, an important concept is you can give a name to the constraint, what we call it as a constraint name. You can give a name. Giving names, of course, to the constraints is optional. We are not giving it, but you can always give. Okay. It should always be unique. Name should be unique, whatever you are trying to give. For any constraint, for example, we saw in this example, state has to be either Karnataka or Kerala only. We used a check constraint, correct? Check constraint we used to check whether state was Karnataka or Kerala. Now for that check constraint, I can use a name. All right. It becomes more typing and more of extra information. That's also generally we don't do that. Constraint giving names is optional, so we generally don't give. But if you can give if you want, and how to give, we'll see an example. See here. What is a constraint? We said this is a constraint pk underscore employee. Pk underscore, look at this, create table employee, e number. E number is a primary key here. And that's a constraint. But we are giving a name called pk underscore employee for that primary key constraint. Okay. And then we are of course creating ename. We are declaring address, which is not null. We are declaring state, where cat2 of 10, date of joining date. And then all the constraints that we gave here directly for address, for the state and all that, now we are giving it separately along with the constraint name. See here, constraint is a keyword. Check underscore e number is the name of the constraint. For which constraint it is a name? To check whether your e number starts with e only. It's a check number. Again, constraint is a keyword. Check underscore e name. This is a name of the constraint. For what? Which constraint is this name? This is for this particular constraint. Check e name is equal to upper of e name. Again, one more constraint keyword you should use. Check underscore state is the name of the constraint. For which constraint? For this particular constraint, whether the state should be either Karnataka or Kerala. Again, we are using one more name of the constraint, foreign key department number department. That's the name of the constraint. For which constraint it is a name? It is a name for foreign key constraint. So like this, you can give name for every constraint. Understood? We have seen the same example without names also. See this. This was without names. It is also right. We have not given any name for e number. This is a constraint that we have used here. Check e number like percentage. We have not given any constraint name for that constraint. Correct? We have simply specified it. That's why I said naming the constraint is, or giving a name for the constraint is optional. Here we have not given. Same example I am taking here, but we have given names to the constraint. You give a constraint name here for checking e number. You give a constraint name to check the upper name of the employee. You give a constraint name to check the state, which state they belong to, all these things. Any doubts? Constraint name? You can try all this in the lab when you are working. Give different constraints for the attributes that you declare. Okay, and giving names is optional, so you can try giving how just to see how it works. Same example here we have taken it. If you observe, we have taken the same example here, right? Where is it? Yeah, this one. Here also we are checking E number should start with E, name should be uppercase, address should be not null, state should be either in Karnataka or Kerala, and employee type default value we have used. We have used constraint in every attribute here. For every attribute we have specified a constraint, but there is no constraint name. Directly we have given the constraints. But you can give name. What does it say? Constraint name is used to identify a particular constraint in case a constraint must be dropped or modified later. Why do you use constraint name? If I want to drop it, suppose I say, state check in Karnataka, Kerala, I have given. Later on, I will feel, okay, let me not put a constraint on the state. Any state can be accepted. Can I recreate the table? That is not possible. So I can drop the constraint. Drop constraint, constraint name. I can drop that constraint. So then I can start accepting different states. So that is the only useful usage of this constraint name. But name should be unique. So here I have given constraint. For every constraint we have given a name. E number we have given here. See, E name we have given, state we have given. So I can always chk underscore state is the name of the constraint. This is what I said. Suppose I want to drop this. After some time I feel, okay, let me accept every state. So then how can I do that? I can drop the constraint using the constraint name. Otherwise, which we cannot drop it. Is it not? It will not be possible for us to drop. So I can say drop constraint chk underscore state. So that particular state constraint will get dropped and state will start accepting any value. Any doubts so far? Okay. Next we go for drop commands. Drop, all of us know, we have also used some drop commands also. It is used to remove an element and its definitions. That's why I said there is always a difference between truncate and drop. Correct? Some of you all would have tried it also. I have given us, I asked you all, some of you all to do it also. When you truncate a table, what will happen? The structure of the table will remain. Only the records will get deleted. But when you drop a table, the whole thing is gone. The structure is also gone. The table gets deleted completely. That's the difference between truncate and drop. And I say if you have entered really lot of wrong values, then you can simply truncate the table where all the rows or records are gone, and then you can start reinserting. But if you want to drop the table itself, means if you are using the drop command, then what will happen? The entire structure of the table will also go. You will have to again create it and do it. So now here in this case, there are two commands. You can drop the schema, you can drop the table. Right. But we don't have a privilege to create a schema, so we cannot drop it also. Table we can create, we can drop. We have seen all that. Again here, there are two drop options, cascade and restrict. If you say cascade, if you say remove, see, a schema is going to consist of many tables, is it not? If I want to drop a schema, cascade means all the tables in that will get deleted or will get dropped. Restrict means there is some restriction. But we don't use this option. We just say drop table. See here, drop schema company cascade. That means schema and all its elements will be dropped. What are the elements? Tables are the elements of the schema. When I say company schema, yesterday's lab session, we had taken cricket example. Cricket application. All the tables are there in that cricket schema. So when I say drop schema company cascade, means all the tables will get deleted. All the schema will get deleted. Drop table employee cascade means table and all its elements are dropped. Restrict means what will happen, you see there. A table is dropped only if it is not referenced in any constraint by any other table. Only then it will drop it, otherwise it will not drop. It is something like, one example I can give is between the Windows and Unix OS, right? I think some of the operating system, when you want to delete the folder, it will ask you whether the folder has to be deleted, yes or no. That means something is there within the folder, that will also get deleted. That's why it will ask. Some it will not ask only, simply delete off everything, right? And some will delete only if it is empty. If it is not empty, folder is not empty, then it will not delete it. Something related to that you can apply. I mean, just an analogy for that. So you can drop a table. This is what happens in our case. Have you observed that? You cannot simply drop the table. Table will not get dropped because you have referenced this table somewhere else. Then it will not get dropped. Many a times you would have observed this. If you give drop table, let us say, what can I say? Drop table place in our previous example. Place is actually that table. It contains stadium ID. It contains match ID, player ID, everything it contains. So you cannot drop that table easily. Only if it is not referenced in any table, then only you can drop it. Right? Any doubts? Okay. Next we move on to alter command. We have again used alter command. Alter command is DML or DDL? Anyone?
DDL.
It's a DDL command. Yes, it is used to alter the structure. So we have used alter command. We have seen all these options, right? We have seen all these options. We have tried adding a column. We tried adding what is this? In the second lab exercise, you remember we tried adding total, we tried adding GPA. All this was added later. When we created the table, we did not do that. Is it not? So we can use alter to add a table, no, add a column, sorry. We can use alter to drop a column. We can use the alter for changing the definition of the column. This also we have done. Alter column name, you can change the definition, you can change the data type, you can change the size of that data. All this can be done. Adding and dropping the table constraints can also be done using alter command. Adding and dropping table constraint means you can add primary key after you create. Okay, let us say you have created the table, but you have forgotten to put the primary key. You don't have to drop the table itself and create again. You can add the primary key constraint by using alter command. Alter table name, add primary key of whatever attribute you want to do. Okay, so you can add an attribute using alter command. Once you add an attribute, what will happen? The values will all be null. Hence, you cannot allow this not null there. Are you understanding what I'm saying? When you add a column using alter, don't give the constraint not null there, because it will be null. It has to be, we have used update, is it not, to add values to that. So it has to initially be null only. So don't give the constraint not null. See here, not null is not allowed for such an attribute. Whenever you want to add a new attribute will take null values. For example, you added total as a column. We added GPA as a column. Initially, what was there? Nothing was there in those two columns, is it not? It was empty. So usually it has to be null only. So that's why we say not null is not allowed there. Yeah, alter, these are some examples. Alter table, employee, add job character of 12. So you are adding a new column called as job, which is of the type character, and the size is 12. Now after adding, you have to enter values. How do you enter values? We make use of update. This also we have used, right? We make use of update command in order to add the values to the new column. You can also use alter table to drop an attribute. All this we have done already. Alter table, table name, drop column name. We can do that. Again, you can choose if you want cascade or restrict. See here, alter table, table name, drop column name. This is what I said. We are trying to drop the column. There are two options that you can use. One is cascade and one is restrict. If you want to drop a column, what does they do? In cascade, all relation reference at column are also dropped. If you have a new table, if you have other tables which are referencing that particular column, that will also get dropped. Cascade means. Whereas restrict means it will not do that. You can also modify an attribute. All this we have done. Then you can also alter, add or drop a constraint. That is also possible. But yeah, this is where you require the constraint name. So this is a constraint name. Constraint name, cascade. Wherever that particular column is used, drop that constraint. Wherever it is used, you should drop. That is why you make use of this word called as cascade. Any doubts so far? Any doubts, anyone? Next, we move to select statement. So yesterday we saw create, and today we have seen how to use alter, drop. Now we come to select. Basic form of select is what? You should have select, from, and where. Can we have a select statement without where? Can we have that?
Yes, ma'am.
Can we have a select statement without from?
No.
No? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. So attribute list is a name of, obviously we are giving all the attributes that you want to display. That is nothing but your attribute list. What are the tables that we want to access? We are giving it after the from. And what is the condition that has to be checked for? That we are giving after the where condition. So this condition can be a Boolean condition. You can have combination of conditions, all that we can use AND operator, minus, intersection, all that we have seen. So similar to a project select pair of relational algebra, yes, this is important. We had used project, that is pi, is it not, in case of relational algebra, and we used sigma in case of a relational algebra for select. If you are trying to map these two of relational algebra with SQL, right? The select will always represent the projection attribute. Select. Whatever select you are using, that is nothing but this part is nothing but your equivalent to your pi. Select of SQL is equivalent to project of relational algebra. Are you understanding? We want to display, these are the set of attributes that I want to display. How do I do that? I use select statement in SQL. But in case of relational algebra, I make use of this pi operator. So project is nothing but your select. And what about your select in relational algebra? That is sigma. That is nothing but your where clause. That is nothing but your where clause. Because in sigma, what you are doing, you are specifying the condition. But you are calling it as select. Select of relational, please be careful in this. Select of relational algebra is same as where clause of SQL. Project, that is pi, of relational algebra is same as your select of SQL. Select of relational algebra is not same as select of SQL. Please remember that. Are you getting what I am trying to say? We saw select and project in case of relational algebra. That is nothing but your sigma and pi. For writing queries, we have seen that. They are all unary operators which can be applied on a table, correct? We can also write the same query in SQL also. Sigma of relational algebra is equivalent to your where clause in SQL. Project, that is pi, of your relational algebra is same as your select in case of SQL. This you have to remember it very well. Otherwise, don't get confused. Both are called as select, but they vary. Right? Any questions? Any questions, anyone?
Ma'am,
Yeah, tell me.
can we display two tables simultaneously, ma'am? Like select
You want to display?
two tables simultaneously under one command. Is it possible, ma'am?
Yeah, you can take the Cartesian product.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, understood.
Yes. Or you can even specify all the attributes of both the tables and still display it if you want to do that. But that will not make any sense unless you put some condition on that and what you want to retrieve.
Okay, ma'am.
You can specify the attributes of, let us say, first table has 2 columns, the second table has 2 columns. You can specify all the 4 columns after your select, and from you can specify both those tables and display everything. It will come.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other questions? Anyone? Thanks for your attendance, Anaga. Anaga?
Ma'am, she's present. She had some network issues.
Bilash?
Yes, ma'am.
Nikhil?
Yes, ma'am.
Akrut?
Anaga present, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha?
Yes, ma'am.
Aravind?
Present, ma'am.
Arifullah?
Yes, ma'am.
Dhanaka?
Present, ma'am.
Banu?
Yes, ma'am.
Bhargav?
Yes, ma'am.
Rahmatullah?
Present, ma'am.
Chaitra?
Present, ma'am.
Chandana?
Present, ma'am.
Charan?
Yes, ma'am.
Darshan? Diksha?
Yes, ma'am.
Dakshayani?
Present, ma'am.
Kishan?
Present, ma'am.
Harshit?
Present, ma'am.
Hema?
Present, ma'am.
Uma?
Present, ma'am.
Jayant?
Present, ma'am.
Divya?
Yes, ma'am.
Kaushik?
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi? Lavanya?
Yes, ma'am.
Manish?
Present, ma'am.
Manoj?
Present, ma'am.
Mohit? Naval?
Present, ma'am.
Navya?
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil? Panindra,
Present, ma'am.
Pavan,
Present, ma'am.
Pooja,
Present, ma'am.
Purnima,
Present, ma'am.
Raman,
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi,
Present, ma'am.
Rupak,
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Kumar, Samir,
Present, ma'am.
Santosh,
Present, ma'am.
Chadab,
Present, ma'am.
Sharan,
Present, ma'am.
Shashank,
Present, ma'am.
Kushal,
Present, ma'am.
Shivani,
Present, ma'am.
Purti,
Present, ma'am.
Soumya, she's not there. Spurti,
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu,
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini,
Present, ma'am.
Sushma,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita,
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita, you, Tirtha,
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Tripti,
Present, ma'am.
Vashavina.
Present, ma'am. Present, ma'am. Ma'am,
Anaga is present, Mohit is present, Sai Kumar is present. Darshan, are you there? Darshan is not present. Then
Darshan is there, ma'am.
what about Nikhil? Nikhil, are you present?
Nikhil is present, ma'am.
Nikhil, present, ma'am.
Soumya Shri? Okay, Darshan is present. Soumya is not present, rest are present. Okay. All right. Anything else? I had sent the notes of normalization followed by the question bank for the entire second module. I hope all of you have received.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Last sheet of the notes is the question bank for the second module. I have put it in the same file. I think you can just go through all those questions. It covers the entire module, all the three parts, that is ER model, relational model, as well as normalization. Right? So if you have any doubts or any clarifications in that notes, you can always come back to me. Okay? Right, then we'll see tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.